And today on From Scratch to Finish, we are going to make some tasty toaster tarts, and I have gotten this recipe from King Arthur Baking. So first, we're going to start off by making the crust, my favorite part. And the crust calls for 2 cups of King Arthur unbleached all-purpose flour, which I have already put in my bowl. Then we need 1 tablespoon, of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 16 tablespoons of unsalted butter, cold and cut into pats, 1 large egg, and 2 tablespoons of milk. So first, to make the dough, we're going to whisk together the flour, sugar, and salt. So I have the flour. We need the sugar, 1 tablespoon of sugar. And 1 teaspoon of salt. And we are just going to whisk this together. Now, I tried to make this last weekend for my dad and his birthday, and it just did not turn out well. So I am trying again this weekend. I'm going to see him tomorrow, so hopefully it works out. All right, so it is all whisked together. Now we're going to work in the butter until the mixture holds together when we squeeze it. All right, so I'm going to put in my pats of butter. I have cut them into little bits and pieces. "16 tablespoons of butter." That was 4 tablespoons. Eight. 12. 16. All right, so now we're going to work in the butter. Now the butter is supposed to be cold. Next thing we're going to do is mix 1 egg and 2 tablespoons of milk. Our 2 tablespoons of milk already measured out. And let me get our egg. Wow, that just splattered all over my shirt. I am definitely not the neatest. Now I'm going to lay out my mat here. And it says to divide the dough in half and shape each half into a 3x5 rectangle, smoothing the edges and wrap in plastic or wax paper and refrigerate for 30 minutes. And this is to relax the gluten and firm up the dough a bit, which will, in the end, make it easier to roll. You can also refrigerate the dough for up to 2 days. And then when you take it out, you need to let it rest for 15 to 20 minutes at room temperature before rolling it out. See if I can get half. To me, it just seems really crumbly. Like for some reason it needs more liquid. But I'm going to try and see what I can do, because this is where it started messing up for me last time. And then I made a big mess and got mad at it. And y'all didn't get to see what happened to it. Still tasted good because I still made the mixture and just sprinkled it on the dough and put it in the oven. But it was definitely not toaster pastry looking material. But we'll see how it goes this time. So I have my plastic wrap to wrap this up in. See, it's still crumbly. It's a bit crumbly. But we're going to put it in the refrigerator and see what happens. It's one. It's like I get all the butter in the first one and then a lot of crumble in the second one. It looks like I'm building a tower. And not pastry. I'm building a sandcastle out of pastry, a pastry castle. See, I don't know what this is doing. Maybe after being in the refrigerator a while, it will be a little bit more together, because right now it is not. Okay, so I'm going to put these in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. And hopefully the butter, oh, that doesn't even want to stick together. Guys, I don't like cling wrap very well. I feel like this is just going to fall apart. And my poor dad is not going to have toaster pastries for his birthday. Oh, but we will see. All right, we'll come back after 30 minutes of it being in the refrigerator. Okay, so it has not been 30 minutes, but this is so crumbly that I wanted to put it back in the bowl, and because it's not going to work like this. So I looked at a different recipe that I have for pie crust, and it includes iced cold water. So I'm putting this back in, and I'm adding a little bit of ice water. So maybe it will stick and bind together better than what it's doing with just the ingredients from before. Because the way it was before, it was way too crumbly to be able to roll it out later. So I just put some ice in a cup and added water so I can have ice water, because it needs to be cold for pastry to work right. And I'm just pouring in a little bit at a time, because I don't know how much I need really. Just to make this stick together. Because even though I know what the recipe said, I know it won't do what it's supposed to, and then it's just going to make me mad, and then my dad's not going to have part of his birthday present. So this is sticking together and molding much better than it did before. So I'm just trying to shape it into a rectangular-ish shape. See, it's just not crumbly anymore like it was. All right, so I will wrap these back up and put them back in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. I think this is going to work much better. Yes. No more crumbles. All right, so we're gonna put this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes and then we'll be back. All right, so while you are waiting for your pastry dough to chill, you can go on and make the filling. To make the filling, you're going to need brown sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, because we are making brown sugar cinnamon tasty toaster tarts. I also like to make raspberry tasty toaster tarts. And my daughter likes for me to get the cookies and cream pudding mix and make cookies and cream toaster tarts for her. So this is a half a cup of the tightly packed brown sugar. Then we need 4 teaspoons of King Arthur unbleached all-purpose flour. One and a half teaspoons of cinnamon. Cinnamon smells so good. So I always have 1 teaspoon that I keep in there for my morning smoothies. And a half there. And we just whisk this together. Since I already have a spoon out, I'm just going to use a spoon to kind of blend it together. So what you're going to put in as your filling is kind of a powdery mixture. Cinnamon flavor is my absolute favorite. Whenever I go to get lattes, I need some kind of cinnamon in it. My favorite to get right now is cinnamon bun latte. All right, and we just put this off to the side and wait for our pastry to come out of the refrigerator, which will be very soon. All right, it's been 30 minutes and I have taken my dough out and it's been resting, and we need a very floured working surface. So we're going to roll it into a rectangle about 1/8 inch thick. And it needs to be large enough that we can trim it to an even 9 by 12. It never works that way for me. I just do the best I can. I want to make sure I have a little flour on the top so it doesn't stick to my roller. I'm definitely not a good measurer. So I just do what I can with what I have. And it really likes to stick. So you definitely need to make sure your surface is floured. So I am going to try to trim some rectangles or a big rectangle out of this, something to represent toaster pastries. I need to get rectangular cookie cutter to make things a lot easier. But I just have not gotten around to doing that, or haven't found exactly what I want. And these edges you can roll them out and try to make more toaster pastries, or you can pop them on a pan and just sprinkle some sugar and cinnamon on it and put it in the oven for a few minutes, and that tastes really, really good. I wonder what will happen if I just flip that over so then I can cut it like that. That way to make sure they're nice and even and would actually fit on one another. Okay, so here's, I should have put more flour because they are sticking to the bottom. Here's the bottom of one. And that's going to be the top and the bottom of another one. And I'm not doing exactly how the recipe reads, but I'm doing what works for me. So we have an egg, and we are going to brush this on our pastry. With a brush. All right. Set that down, put a good scoop on your toaster pastry bottom. And let's see if I can put these on the correct way. Put that on that way. And this one looks like it goes this way. And you're gonna brush some more egg wash over the top. And then you need to make sure that they are sealed on the ends so your middles, your filling, does not leak out. So I just used a fork to do this. Let me move it over so I can actually do the rest. If you hear talking and laughing in the background, it's because my husband and his sister haven't seen each other in a while because of this nasty COVID mess, and I'm a germaphobe. So they're outside talking. And even though they fuss at their mama for being loud, they take right on after her. They are loud too. So I'm going to roll this up into a ball and roll it out again and see if I can come up with one more. And then I'm going to do the same for the other pastry. We also need to poke holes on the top of our toaster pastries. I almost forgot this. I was looking at the recipe. So we need to make sure we poke holes. My husband just walked in, and I already told y'all viewers that he is as loud and his sister is as loud as their mama. I don't know why he's trying to be quiet now.
What are you making?
Toaster pastries.
Can't call them the other word.
Toaster pastries. Actually, I'm using the King Arthur recipe, and they are Tasty Toaster Tarts. Can you say that 3 times really fast?
Tasty Toaster Tarts.
Tarts.
Tasty Toaster Tarts. Tasty Toaster Tarts. Tasty Toaster Tarts.
Flip it over. Some egg wash, some filling. This one's a little bit skinnier than the other ones. All right, so while I work on the second pastry, I'm going to go on and go to the next step with these three, which says to put them on a lightly greased or parchment lined baking sheet, which I got parchment paper right here. I pricked them multiple times so the steam can escape. Otherwise, the tarts will become billowy pillows rather than flat toaster pastries. Sprinkle the tarts with cinnamon sugar. Refrigerate them uncovered for 30 minutes. So sprinkle them with cinnamon sugar, which I'm just sprinkling the filling on there. I could have gotten my cinnamon sugar out and done the same thing. In fact, let me go on and get that, and I'll sprinkle a little bit of that too. On the top. Yummy. All right, so they need to go in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. And then when I take them out, I'll put them in the oven at 350 and we'll bake them for 30 to 35 minutes until they are a light golden brown. And then we'll remove them from the oven and allow them to cool on the pan. All right, so they are going in the refrigerator, and I'm going to go on and work on this other pastry. All right, so my first three toaster pastries have come out of the oven, and I've been letting them cool on my cooling rack. I don't usually put frosting on my toaster pastries because it's too sweet for me, but I know that my parents would like some frosting on some of theirs at least, so they could have a choice. So I am going to make some just to put on these first three. Now the recipe says mix 1.5 cups of confectioner's sugar with a pinch of salt and enough water, milk, or cream to make a soft spreadable frosting. I don't want that much frosting, so I just put 1/2 cup of confectioner's sugar in this bowl. I'm going to put just a pinch of salt in there like it says, and then I'm just going to slowly pour some milk into the confectioner's sugar mixture and stir. Just want it to be spreadable. You also need to make sure that your toaster pastries have cooled before you put your frosting on. I am just going to slowly try to drizzle some frosting on top. I don't want it to cover the whole thing. Ooh, of course, there it goes. It's running everywhere. Probably added a little too much liquid. And I have way too much frosting left. So, it's not necessarily pretty, but it will do. It will harden back up and make it a little sweeter. And those are our toaster pastries, or our Tasty Toaster Tarts, from scratch to finish. So I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.